Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucker responsibilities. And right now, we're just going to basically point out this the sun and the moon, because we don't have specific dates to know people's risings and things of that nature, but we do celebrities sun and moon rising, and I mean sun and moon, and this kind of could kind of give you a basic characteristic of how a person act and how a person react to things. So right now we're doing Lil Uzi Vert. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to know how to differentiate between the two, the sun is your actions, the way you act and how you see things. Your moon is who you are, your reactions, and things that things that makes you emotionally comfortable, and your emotional responses. You see what I'm saying? So let's get into it. Now, right now, we got Lil Uzi Vert. So his sun is in 8 degrees Leo, and his moon is in 20 degrees Taurus. Now, off the bat, his sun is where it wants to be, and his moon is where it wants to be. His moon is exalted and his sun is at home. So, you know, think about when you at home. You could do what you want to do, you could be bored or whatever, but you're in the comfortability of your own place. That's how the sun feels. The moon, think of the moon. Think of a kid being at Disneyland, or you being at a place that you always want to do. I mean, being at a place you always want to be. The moon is exalted in Taurus. So here, this is like a person that gets to do everything they want to do at a place that they want to be. So they may overexhaust themselves, you know what I'm saying, get overexcited, you know what I'm saying, but at the end of the day, it'd be time to go home and relax. And if they don't, they could wear themselves out and wear and tear on the body. So that's how the exaltations play out. But the exaltations play out positively also. So when we want to talk about the sun, his sun is in Leo. So off the bat, Lil Uzi Vert, his actions, the way he act and how he see things is about him. It's fixed fire, being fixated on his own way of seeing and feeling about things. So that's when you deal with fire off the bat. So off the bat, he has his own way of seeing things. He has his own visions, you know what I'm saying? He has his own way of seeing, of feeling about things, and a lot of times that can revolve around selflessness or center stageness. Now, when we say center stage, that doesn't always have to play out on a stage or entertainment, even though a lot of times the energies end up manifesting in that way. But for the most part, it just means center stage. You could be a center stage in the household. You could be center stage in somebody's life. You could be center stage of a circumstance. You could be center stage at your job. You could be center stage of a certain bill you have to pay. You know what I'm saying? It's just the energy. So a lot of times it could be played out in ego and pride. So a lot of times you don't want other people to see vulnerability in your situations. So a lot of times you want appreciation or praise, and it's just the way you see things. It's not a bad or it's not a bad or a good thing. It's just the way it is. For an example, your actions may be predicated towards on, okay, this is how I see this here, or this is my way of feeling about this. Okay, let me present myself or help in some type of way of here. And if it's not appreciated, then I need to take the energy elsewhere. So that concept itself is like you're just trying to be seen for something. You know what I'm saying? So it just get played out in a bunch of human mechanism type ways. But at the same time, Leos, they give off a lot of light and a lot of charm and light, so they're able to relate to others, and based upon them having their own way of seeing things and their own way of feeling about things, a lot of times they think a lot of things is about them. So they could be in certain type situations where they see other people's actions, because Leo represents the personality and how you express yourself also. So it's the fire, it's the light, it's what you can see, and if you can see like feelings, it's the seer and the feelings. So anytime, you know, feelings don't got no visual to it. You can't see your feelings, right? But you can see what's outside of you. So if you can match what you see outside of you to an actual feeling, it becomes a vision, right? And when something is a vision, it's something that's inside of you. So you need to get it out. So how you get it out? Express it. So fire signs understand this, and also Leo the most understand this. So Leos have a innate understanding to express their inner to the outer. So their visions, the way they see things, how they feel about things, they need to express it. So a lot of times when you express, that's a light. You give off light and energy. So when other people see it, you know what I'm saying, that they give you attention. Your light orb could be big. So Leos have a certain charisma and a certain charm that's able to have a bright light. The way they express themselves, the way they know how to relate, they know how to express themselves in the actual way of how you're supposed to express yourself within actions and how you act in certain environments. Like Leos can just jump in certain environments and understand the vibration of actions in that environment. Like for an example, you ever had a job and then you come from a whole different world than everybody at that job, but when you get in that job, you feel the vibration, right? And you start to understand how everybody act in that job, so you start to accord yourself how to act in that job so you can apply and relate yourself to everybody else. See, that's the realm right there that Leos understand a little more than a lot of other signs. Libras understand this a little bit, but Leos the most. They understand the vibration of the way to act and the way the vibrational flow is going. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times they take charge in certain conversations and in certain ways of doing things. They may show that they can do something better than somebody else in that area or whatever they're doing. But just that mechanism itself plays out through Leo's characteristics, if you spiritually inclined enough to understand what I'm talking about here. Now, we want to talk about his moon. His moon is in Taurus. So now we're going to start to build the overall character of Lil Uzi Vert right now. Now, he has a square. Anytime there's a square between two planets, that's a learning process. So that means you have to learn something. So before we get into his moon, let's talk about the square. By his sun squaring the moon, a lot of times he may contradict himself, or a lot of times he may feel uncomfortable with his actions, or a lot of times he may act before feeling comfortable with his actions that he's doing. So a lot of times he may do things that he may regret, or a lot of times he may do things that put him in a situation where he feel uncomfortable. But here's a little dynamic before we start to get into Leo and Taurus, because see, his actions, the way he act, love attention, right? So the little contradictions and the little things that he do, a lot of times it just works because it gets some attention. And a lot of time Leo, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, long as attention. Leos know how to turn that into positive energy. So they can turn something negative into a positive energy. You know what I'm saying? But by his moon being in Taurus, this is fixed earth, being fixated on its own way of thinking and being practical, which is common sense. So a lot of times, see, your moon, everything is being filtered through your sun. So your moon is who you are. It was makes you comfortable. But your sun is acting these things out. Your sun is your actions. It's like it's acting these things out. It's how it wants your moon to be seen, or how I think it should be seen. And anytime people pierce through that and pierce straight through the moon, that's what makes you vulnerable. But that's what's going to make you uncomfortable. And that's what everybody, moon and sun and moon. But when we talk about the sun being in Leo and the moon being in Taurus, what they have to learn from each other, his son gonna have to learn more patience, being more practical, being more reality based. You see what I'm saying? That's what his actions, the way he act, because the way he act is more spirited, more based off the spontaneous, the energy, the spark, the creativity. You know what I'm saying? But his moon feel more comfortable with chilling and relaxing and taking time on something to something perfect. And a lot of times these can become contradictory between them, and he can get conflicted between what's actually good and what's actually needed to be done for attention. You know what I'm saying? They could blur the lines a lot of times. But when we talk about the moon, what makes him comfortable is being stable and having a foundation. You know what I'm saying? And having something to work on, and having something that makes sense. So a lot of times what makes him comfortable is being stable. So if his sun, which is Leo, and it's about getting attention, being center stage, being creative, and drawing attention in any kind of way, if these are the mechanisms that's making him stable, then he's using that Taurus moon to capitalize off of it, to get paid off of it, to gain stability off of it. He's looking at the reality of it. He's not comfortable with looking at his actions, maybe based upon like spirit shit and like the energy and being filled, but what he feel comfortable with is actually stabilizing, seeing how he can make this a foundation, and actually being calm, actually being cool. You know what I'm saying? Because he could be conflicted a lot of times between being stable and between being reckless. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times his actions, the way he act, he may have a lot of energy to do things, but he can overexhaust himself and real fast, because what makes him comfortable is steadiness, calmness. You know what I'm saying? Steady pace. You know what I'm saying? Taking time on things, being practical, what makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And that's where they can conflate between the sun and the moon. So a lot of times he's using a lot of his actions, he's using a lot of his attributes, a lot of his lights from Leo, and to gain stability in his life, comfortability and being able to use that to gain the things he value. And a lot of times the thing he value is this really practical reality shit. It's not even too deep. Though a lot of times people who thinking a Lil Uzi Vert, they're thinking of him deeper than he's thinking of himself. Like, believe that. Believe that. Like, he put out illusions and lights based upon using the illusions and lights that we see in front of us. You know what I'm saying? And if anything that's getting attention in any kind of way, he's gonna act on that. That's how he sees it. He see it, and he see how to utilize it for himself, because it's fixed fire. But what makes him feel comfortable with it, you know what I'm saying? And Taurus is dealing with music, dealing with art, dealing with Venus. So he's going to be loved and appreciated for it. He's going to draw that love in and draw that love from Venus in. You know what I'm saying? Because the moon is how you manifest. So if that's how you emotionally feel, subconsciously, that's what you're subconsciously manifesting. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times Virgos, Scorpios, and Aries subconsciously manifest bad situations because they subconsciously thinking negative because the lack of Venus. You know what I'm saying? Venus falls in Aries and Scorpio. I mean, it's away in Venus and Scorpio, and it falls in Virgo. So you know what I'm saying? A lot of times they subconsciously just manifest bad situations. A lot of Libras, Taurus, and Pisces subconsciously manifest loving situations and receiving appreciation from others and value and things of that nature, because Venus rules Taurus and Libra and is exalted in Pisces. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, the overall mechanism of Lil Uzi Vert, you know what I'm saying, his actions and the way he see things is to get attention and to use his attention to utilize it for his creativity, his visions, and how he see things and how he feel, right? And what makes him comfortable, and he's utilizing that for his stability in his life. So he's probably, the thing with him is he's probably stacking way more or way better than other people, because the illusion that he's putting out is not what is going on behind closed doors, in so many words that I want to say. So, you know, that's Lil Uzi Vert. Fight boss, bitch. Goddamn hair.